Think about the last time you woke up and your very first thought was something negative. Maybe it was dread about the day ahead. Maybe it was a wave of anxiety that hit you before you even opened your eyes. Maybe you felt heavy, foggy, already exhausted before the day had even started, and maybe, like most people, you quietly blamed yourself for it. You told yourself you just need to be more positive, more disciplined, more grateful. You told yourself that other people seem to wake up energized and ready. So what is wrong with you? Nothing is wrong with you. And that is not just something I am saying to make you feel better. That is the actual scientific conclusion. Because what you are experiencing every morning is not a personality flaw. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is your brain running a program that was designed for a world that no longer exists, and nobody ever told you how to update it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what your brain is doing in those first moments after you wake up, why it creates the feelings it does, what decades of neuroscience research have uncovered about the morning brain state, and most importantly, the precise steps you can take, starting tomorrow, to stop your brain from sabotaging you before the day even begins. So stay with me because this one is going to go deep. Let's start at the very beginning. You are asleep. Your body is still. Your breathing is slow. And your brain, your extraordinary ancient 3-pound brain, is doing something remarkable. It is not resting. It is working. Sorting through the events of the day, filing memories, processing emotions, running chemical maintenance cycles that keep you functional. Sleep is not downtime. Sleep is the most intensive maintenance shift your body runs. And like any complex system, how that maintenance ends determines how the next cycle begins. In the final stage of your sleep, which is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, something particularly fascinating happens. Your brain becomes almost as active as it is when you are fully awake. Your eyes are moving behind your eyelids. Your heart rate fluctuates. Your brain is generating a rich chemical cocktail of neurotransmitters. And according to Dr. Matthew Walker, professor of neuroscience at the University of California, Berkeley, and author of the landmark book, Why We Sleep, the brain during REM is specifically engaged in emotional memory processing. It is taking the charged, difficult experiences from your waking life and trying to strip them of their emotional intensity. It is essentially running emotional therapy on itself while you sleep. It is trying to help you wake up as a slightly healed, slightly lighter version of the person who went to bed. But here is where the first problem begins. If your REM sleep is disrupted, if you wake up too early, if you slept badly, if you had alcohol the night before, if your phone buzzed at 3 a.m., that process gets interrupted. Your brain never finishes the job. And so you wake up carrying the full, unprocessed emotional weight of everything that happened yesterday. The argument, the embarrassment, the anxiety, the deadline, the fear, all of it sitting at the surface, raw and unresolved, coloring the very first moments of your new day with the residue of your old one. And you think that heavy, dark feeling is just who you are in the morning. It is not. It is an incomplete biological process. Now let's talk about what happens the moment you actually open your eyes, as though this is where the second and arguably more powerful piece of the puzzle comes in. And when you wake up, your brain transitions through distinct wave states. As you sleep, your brain primarily operates in delta waves, the slowest, deepest waves. As you begin to surface toward waking, you pass through theta waves. Theta is the state your brain is in when you are in a deeply meditative, hypnotic, or dreamlike state. It is the state where your mind is maximally open, maximally suggestible, and operating almost entirely from the subconscious. And here's the important thing. For most adults, you spend anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes in this theta state every single morning, right after you wake up, before your brain fully crosses over into alpha and then beta in the alert, rational, waking state. Think about what that means. For up to 45 minutes every morning, you are in a hypnotic-like state. Your critical, rational mind is not yet fully online. Your subconscious is running the show. And whatever you expose your mind to during those 45 minutes gets absorbed at a depth that is simply not possible during normal waking hours. This is why ancient traditions across the world, from Stoic philosophy to Buddhist practice to Ayurvedic medicine, all place extraordinary emphasis on how you begin your morning. They did not have neuroscience, but they observed over centuries that what you do at the start of your day shapes the entire day in a way that nothing else does. They were right, and now we know why. So what are most people doing with this sacred neurological window? They are picking up their phone, they're opening Instagram or Twitter or the news. They are immediately flooding their highly suggestible subconscious dominant brain with comparison, conflict, catastrophe, and cortisol. A study published in the journal Computers and Human Behavior, drawing on data from the University of Pennsylvania, found that people who checked social media within the first 15 minutes of waking reported significantly higher anxiety levels and lower mood scores for the rest of the day. Like, not just in the morning, the rest of the day. Because your brain in that theta state does not just passively observe what you show it, it internalizes it. It treats it as a template for reality. It says, this is the world. This is what is true. This is what today will be. And then it spends the next 16 hours confirming that belief every chance it gets. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Your brain calls it survival. You call it having a bad day, and you have no idea where it came from. Now, I want to introduce you to a concept that is central to understanding why your morning feelings feel so overwhelming, so real, so impossible to argue with. It is called amygdala hijack, a term coined by psychologist Daniel Goleman in his groundbreaking work on emotional intelligence. And the amygdala is an almond-shaped structure deep in your brain. It is ancient. It has been part of the human brain for hundreds of thousands of years. And its entire purpose is to detect threats and trigger a survival response. Fear, anger, dread, panic. These are all amygdala responses. The amygdala does not think. It reacts. And critically, the amygdala wakes up fast, long before your prefrontal cortex, the rational, planning, self-regulating part of your brain, has fully come online. Your amygdala is already scanning your life, scanning your memories, scanning your future, and firing off stress signals like an alarm that will not stop. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that cortisol, the primary stress hormone, naturally peaks in the early morning in what scientists call the cortisol awakening response. So this is a normal biological event. You know, your body uses cortisol to help you wake up and mobilize energy. But in people who are chronically stressed, sleep deprived, or dealing with anxiety or depression, this cortisol peak is dramatically elevated. So you are already starting from a physiologically heightened state of stress. Your rational brain is offline, your subconscious is wide open, and then you add a social media feed on top of all of that. It is genuinely remarkable that anyone manages to have a good day at all. But here is what I really want you to understand, because this is the part that most people miss. The stories your brain tells you in the morning, the thoughts, the feelings, the sense of dread, the conviction that things are wrong, they're not truth. They are chemistry. They are the output of a system that is running on incomplete emotional processing, elevated cortisol, and a deeply suggestible subconscious state. That your brain is not reporting reality to you in the morning. It is generating a highly distorted, emotionally amplified version of reality, filtered through every fear you have ever had and every bad thing that has ever happened to you. And it presents it to you as fact. as the obvious truth, as the way things simply are. There is a concept in cognitive behavioral therapy called cognitive distortions, patterns of irrational thinking that feel completely rational in the moment, catastrophizing, mind reading, fortune telling, all or nothing thinking. These distortions are present to some degree in everyone's thinking, but they are dramatically amplified in the morning when the brain is tired, cortisol is high, and the prefrontal cortex is still warming up. Dr. Aaron Beck, the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy and one of the most cited psychiatrists in history, spent decades documenting how these distorted thinking patterns create depressive and anxious states, and how identifying them is the first step to breaking their hold. Your morning brain is a master of cognitive distortion. It takes a small worry and turns it into a catastrophe. It takes uncertainty and turns it into proof of failure. It takes a difficult day ahead and turns it into evidence that your whole life is going wrong. And it does all of this before you have even had a glass of water. So what do we actually do about it? Because understanding the problem matters, but you came here for something you can use. And I have 5 things for you and 5 specific research-backed practices that you can begin tomorrow morning. Not next week, and not when your life settles down. Tomorrow. The first is the 30-minute screen-free window. For the first 30 minutes after you wake up, do not touch your phone, do not check the news, do not open any social platform. This is not about demonizing technology. This is about protecting your most neurologically vulnerable window of the day. In those first 30 minutes, your theta state is at its most open. Give it something that serves you instead of something that sells your attention. Drink water. Sit by a window. Let your brain finish its boot up sequence on its own terms. You will be amazed at how different you feel on days when you do this compared to days when you don't. The research supports it, and your own experience will confirm it within 1 week. The second practice is what I call emotional labeling, and it is one of the most powerful and underused tools in all of psychology. The moment you notice a negative feeling in the morning, dread, anxiety, heaviness, irritability, but stop and give it a name. Say it out loud if you can. I feel anxious right now. I feel heavy. I feel dread about today. That is it. Nothing more. You do not have to fix the feeling. You do not have to explain it or justify it or chase it away. Just name it. A famous study from UCLA, led by neuroscientist Dr. Matthew Lieberman, used brain imaging to show that the act of labeling an emotion causes a measurable and significant decrease in amygdala activity and a simultaneous increase in prefrontal cortex activity. You literally shift the power from your emotional brain to your rational brain with a single sentence. You move from reaction to observation, and from observation, you have a choice about what comes next. That is what the amygdala hijack steals from you. Emotional labeling gives it back. The third practice is morning movement. Not a full workout necessarily, though that is wonderful if you can manage it. Just movement. 5 to 10 minutes of physical activity within 30 minutes of waking up. Walking, stretching, dancing in your kitchen, a few minutes of yoga, jumping jacks. It genuinely does not matter what you do as long as your body is moving. Here is why this is so powerful. Physical movement triggers the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Rady, in his book Spark, calls BDNF miracle grow for the brain. It stimulates the growth of new neural connections, particularly in the hippocampus, which is involved in memory and mood regulation, and in the prefrontal cortex. At the same time, movement lowers cortisol and releases endorphins and dopamine. You are essentially doing a complete neurochemical reset in under 10 minutes. Your brain goes from survival mode to growth mode. Your mood follows. Your capacity to think clearly follows. Your ability to make good decisions follows, all from movement that does not even have to break a sweat. The fourth practice is writing one sentence of intention, not journaling, not affirmations, not a to-do list. One sentence, something like, today, I choose to be present with the people around me. Or, today my intention is to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting. Or, today I want to bring curiosity instead of judgment to whatever comes up. This practice works on multiple levels simultaneously. It engages your prefrontal cortex at a time when you are trying to bring it fully online. It activates what psychologists call approach motivation, the psychological stance of moving towards something as opposed to away from something. When your brain has a positive direction, even a small and simple one, it genuinely shifts out of the defensive survival orientation that the amygdala creates. And here is something fascinating. Research on implementation intentions, a concept developed by psychologist Peter Gallitzer at NYU, shows that people who set a specific intention in the morning are significantly more likely to follow through on meaningful behavior throughout the day, even when they face obstacles. One sentence, that is all it takes to give your brain a North Star to organize around. The fifth practice is the most counterintuitive of all, and it is the one that most people resist the hardest. Stop trying to feel positive in the morning and aim instead for neutral. I know that sounds wrong. We are told constantly to think positive, to be grateful, to look on the bright side, to start every day with energy and optimism. And I am not saying those things are bad. What I am saying is that when your amygdala is elevated, when cortisol is high, when your prefrontal cortex is still warming up, forced positivity does not work. Your brain knows it is fake. There is actually a body of research showing that when you try to suppress negative emotions or replace them with forced positive ones, you create a phenomenon called emotional rebound. The suppressed emotion comes back stronger. What your brain can genuinely do in the morning, what is actually neurologically achievable in that state, is move from negative to neutral, from everything is terrible to I do not know yet what today will hold, from I cannot do this to let me just see what happens. That small, honest shift from negative to neutral is the foundation that everything else is built on. From neutral, momentum builds naturally. From neutral, genuine positivity becomes possible. You are not lying to yourself. You are simply refusing to let an overactive, sleep-confused amygdala write the story of your entire day before it has even begun. Now, I want to leave you with something that I think about a great deal because I believe it changes the way you relate to your own mind. Your brain is not your enemy. I want to be completely clear about that. Everything your amygdala does in the morning, every alarm it sounds, every threat it imagines, every dark thought it generates, it is doing all of that because it loves you, because it is trying to keep you alive. It is an ancient system running ancient software in a world that has changed faster than evolution can keep up with. The threats it was built to protect you from, predators, famine, exile from the tribe, are not the threats you face today. But it does not know that. It cannot update itself automatically. That is your job. That is the work of self-awareness, of understanding your own neuroscience, of building practices that teach your brain the difference between a genuine threat and a stressful morning. Every single morning, you have a choice. Not a choice about how you feel. You do not control that directly. And anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something. But you have a choice about what you do with how you feel. You can hand the keys to your amygdala, let it drive, and spend the day running from shadows that are not really there. Or you can use the practices we talked about today to slowly, patiently, consistently take the keys back. 30 minutes without your phone, name the feeling, move your body, Set one intention, aim for neutral, do those 5 things every morning for 2 weeks, not perfectly, just consistently, and then tell me what changed. If this video opened something up for you, if it gave you even one new way to understand yourself, I want you to drop a comment below right now and tell me, and what is the first thought or feeling you usually have when you wake up? Be honest. There is no wrong answer. This community is a safe place, and reading your experiences genuinely helps me create better content for you. If this helped you, please share it with someone in your life who struggles with mornings, with anxiety, with that low, heavy feeling that they cannot explain. They might not even know this is happening in their brain. That one share could change how they experience every morning for the rest of their life. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because every week on this channel, we go deep into the science of your mind and your health. Not surface level tips, but the real mechanisms, the real research, the real tools that create real change. I am Dr. Gabor Maté. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough about yourself to spend 20 minutes learning how your own mind works. Take care of your brain. It is extraordinary, and so are you. I will see you in the next one.